because my pain was amplified in isolation. I felt like I was the only person going through what I was going through. And so, because friends are not always going to be there, family's not always going to be there. Hey, Bisi here, and this is the Legit Podcast. I want to say thank you for tuning in and putting in the work to do better. The Legit platform is a place, a hub where we want to change the narrative and break the status quo, and not only know better, but also putting the work, make efforts, baby steps to do better. And I just want to celebrate you for that. And if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome home. You're not alone in whatever it is that you're going through. I was in a dark moment in my life when the Legit Podcast sprouted up because my pain was amplified in isolation. I felt like I was the only person going through what I was going through. And so after I heard other people's stories, I'm like, man, people need to hear this. So I want you to know that whatever it is that you're going through, you are not alone. And if I can't give value, I for sure will direct to a resource, to a place, first of all, God, that I do know can help. I'm answering another question today, and the question was along the lines of, how do I not feel hurt again? How do I not feel the pain of a heartbreak again? And also open myself up to other relationships. Now, pain is inevitable. As long as we are alive, we will feel pain. It is what you do with that pain and not dwelling in the pain, and the choices you do make in the midst of the pain that determines the course of your life. Now, we don't always get it right. Absolutely not. We're always going to make missteps, but sitting with the pain is actually a necessity and not leaping and jumping over it. Why? Because you would realize that it will come up in other areas if you're masking it in the moment. And maybe it's been a while, but then you still feel the pain and you're like, I'm so frustrated. I feel like I should have gotten over it now. That's okay too. Does that make sense? Where you're not afraid of feeling the feels. You're not afraid of the pain anymore. That way you can nurture it head on. That I'm feeling this. Let's sit through the funk. Let's go through what we have to go through. Let me address what I need to address. Let me communicate it. Let me get in community with people that can help me through this. So not being afraid of the pain and the hurt anymore. There's this term called neuroplasticity, and what it is the brain's ability to adapt and conform to certain circumstances. So if your brain knows to always protect you from hurt by going to one thing or doing one thing or being around friends or being around family, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there is so much power in just sitting with yourself. So you're able to actually train your brain to form new ways of handling pain in a very healthy way, because friends are not always going to be there. Family's not always going to be there. These are things that make us feel at ease in the moment. But what about long term? There's one person that you are guaranteed to be with and live with for the rest of your life, and that's you. So when all external factors are not present, how does your brain deal with that? And so there's nothing wrong with the pain. And I'm going to read something by C.S. Lewis, and it says, to love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it carefully round with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. To love is to be vulnerable. And I'm going to throw some Bisi sauce in there. Vulnerability allows you to have authentic relationships. And so knowing that it is okay, just look back at your life. Look at how far you've come. Look at the hurdles that you've overcome. And with regards to not to opening up again, whatever happened in the past, 2020 is hindsight. all we do is take the lessons as a guide, but you're not supposed to project and bring your past with you. There's something I always say, that if you're not motivated by a vision of the future, you're stuck with the memories of the past. And this can hinder you from actually living the abundant life that Jesus has already died for us to live. So one thing about being in relationship with God is knowing, now God is always there. But when you're in relationship with him, you actually know that you have a friend in your corner. The righteous fall down 7 times, but they rise again. And so being in a relationship with God, he teaches you how to navigate this, right? The right people to be in community with, the right people to speak to about what you're going through, how to even mold your heart in a way that loves, again, not even a partner, but just people in general. Because sometimes we feel like people in general can't be trusted, right? But while people hurt us and we get disappointed with people also grow us. How are we supposed to grow if we're not in relationship with people? If we're not opening ourselves to love and to be loved, right? And if you think about nurturing and tending to our hurts and our pain, it's courageous. We have to be courageous. It's something that's scary, right? Because it is the unknown, something that we never learned how to address and how to deal with. It is vulnerable. There's this quote that I absolutely love by a poet called Rumi, and he says that the wound is the place where the light enters you, and I say don't sleep on it. In fact, J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, only published the first book, The Sorcerer's Stone, and she tells her story throughout the whole Harry Potter series. And it was published, even though she got the idea way before it was published, she only pushed for it to be published when she was diagnosed as clinically depressed, going through a divorce, and near homeless. And she said, in her own words, if she had succeeded at anything else, her marriage, her finances, figuring things out, she would not have found the courage to succeed in the one area where she truly belonged. And we have a creative and a writer where we have Harry Potter now. And this is an example of where the light enters you, in the wound. She was smack down in the middle of everything. There was so much going on around her. And where she found the light was writing. Now, it may not be grand for you. I always say something, that serving others serves you. This podcast was birthed when I was going through a dark moment in my life, and pain was amplified when I was isolated. And so it may not be a grand thing, but serving others serves you. You may go out and just give of what is on the inside of you, whatever strength, the gift that is you, lending a helping hand, being a listening ear, having a shoulder to lean on, whatever it is that you can give, you go out and realize that it will end up serving you, because you get to see people in their element and do life. And maybe sometimes people in their own struggles, you realize that I can give value here, and it ends up healing a wound, or wow, this feels pretty good, and it's innately rewarding, and it ends up serving you. You may get something that you didn't even realize that you needed. But I do want to let you know that you are not alone, hence the Legit platform. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you were on this boat with me right up until this second, type in the comments below, serving others. And maybe this may not be for you, but you know that this may be value for somebody else. Please share with them. And thank you so much for the question. Please continue to connect with me. It really does help me provide relevant content. info@thelegityou.com, or connect with me on Instagram. Until next time, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.